Alright, welcome back to my channel. Today's project, I've got a HandVac that I would like to get mounted up on a wall so it's not using up so much space and it's handy. I'm going to keep that actually by my 3D printer so I can clean up after myself a little easier. I've got rough dimensions on another page I'm going to show you here in a minute, but the idea is that this will be mounted vertically with this upper edge here tight against the wall. It's going to be a real simple bracket with a band that goes through roughly in this area here. It's just going to slide in there, hold it up. I'm going to have a couple of mounting eyes in it. Theoretically, it should work pretty good. These are the rough dimensions I've got on it, not to scale by any means. So you can see I've got about a 40 millimeter distance here, an 80 up there, and a 30 in the center. So again, nowhere near scale, but we're going to follow the dimensions I've written down, and we're going to see how it works out. So that being said, I'm going to get this drawing up where my mug is right now so that you can watch that as we go. So we're going to pop that up there, and then we're going to bring up the Fusion 3. There. All right. And here we go. So what I'm going to do, haven't thought this one through completely the best way to design it, so I might change course midstream here. But essentially we're going to get the profile view of it set up, extruded out, and then we're going to change the direction and face of it, get the screw holes put in, and a little bit of a pad for the unit to sit on or sit against so it sits nice in there. So we're going to start out with a drawing that is going to be on this view, which would be the right view, which is going to correspond with this drawing here. So this is essentially what we're going to see on the Fusion side. We're going to have these dimensions in here roughly, and then we will extrude it out, and then after that we'll work on the front side. That being said, we're going to do some drawings here. We're going to, let's do a box first. So we're going to do a rectangle from this lower corner here, up and about, and we can see that the WallMount portion is 10 millimeters deep, and it will be 150 tall. So we're going to set that in there, and now we have our base where we're going to be working everything off of. Then we're going to have a rectangle popping out of this area, and because it, yep, all right, so we're just going to pop it in here. This one is going to be, according to our dimension, it's going to be the 97 depth plus the outer wall. It looks like I'm going to go about 5 millimeters on that just so there's plenty of strength. So that's going to get us to 102 millimeters, and the height of it is going to be 30. And from here we're going to set the dimension from the bottom edge to be, we said 40. So we'll go 40 here. And the reason it's a little disproportionate here is just mechanically the leverage on it. The bottom screw, which will be right in this area here, will do the lifting or prevent the weight of it from pushing down. And then the screw up here will have a little more leverage so it doesn't get pulled out of the wall as easily. If the screw was down in this area here, there'd be more torque coming from just the weight of the shop or the HandVac. So that's why we're putting the screw up in this area and why we've got it dimensionally set up here. The other part we got a little bit of a fillet in this area here in my drawing, so I am going to put that in, just roughly speaking, from here to there, and we are again going to set that by dimension. That the point here is going to be, I wanted it 30 millimeters is what the drawing called for, and it's going to be the same from here to here. We're also going 30, and that will give us, you see as these lines turn black, that means that they are constrained, that they will stay in that area. Also, over in this area, we have got a taper, basically where it's going to be setting. That's going to give us a little bit of strength. But first, we want to get that 5 millimeter line in there. That's how wide the bracket's going to be. So we're going to come from here straight down. We're going to set that at the 5 millimeters. That's pretty close, 4.6. Now we've got that locked in, and then we're going to add a padded area there, or it's going to match the taper angle. Oh, wrong drawing. It's going to match this taper here is the goal. So it's going to hit right about here, be that little triangle wedge in there when it's sitting in there, and that should match for us. So we're going to do another line, and its pitch is roughly a 2-to-1. So we're going to have a 10 millimeter height from here to here. And being a 2-to-1, we're going to have a 20 millimeter run from there to there. And that's going to be real close to the taper angle on the HandVac. That is dimensionally going to get a large portion of what we've got going on taken care of. We are going to also add down in this area, there's a little padding there. The reason that's there, if we look here, we've got this little raised area here. The band is going to be right in this area. So down below, we're going to put a little raised pad to help hold that straight. So that's what this next portion is going to be. So we are going to put that right in this area here. So we're going to draw another rectangle. It'll come right from the bottom here and come over and up. And we're going to give it a little bit of space, but we wanted, it's only 3 millimeters deep. So it's going to be 3 by, we're just going to do 20. It doesn't have to be real tall. It's just going to get us in there. Gives us that pad, and it gives us room for that screw mount hole above it. And then there's plenty of room that the rest of it will sit in here, and it'll just be a way to help keep that a little bit more vertical. All right, now from the profile angle, that is going to be a large majority of it. I could try to put the mounting holes in from this side. That's just not going to be practical. Once we have the solid made, we're going to go to the face of it and put them in, you know, from the front side. Now remember, this is all being done on the right side, and then we will rotate it to 90 degrees and work on the rest from the front. So at this point, we can always make adjustments later. I'm going to slide some of these dimensions out of the way a little bit so they're a little easier to follow. And then we will extrude things. Oh, hang on, there we go. We'll extrude some things and get it up where it belongs. I'm going to slide this one down a little bit more. Bring him down, put him over here, and we should be in pretty good shape. So we're going to finish the sketch at this point. We can always come back to it and modify it if we need to. Now, the overall depth of this thing is going to be 110 millimeters with the face we're looking at being 0. So we're going to push back 110 millimeters. So we're going to do that right away with the back portion. We're going to go 110 millimeters, and we always like to see which way it's going to push it, and it's actually going to pull it back towards us. So we're going to do a negative 110 to get it to push away from us. That just flips it over, pushes it out away from us. And that is going to be a new body because we don't have anything here yet. We're going to set that, and as soon as you set an extrusion, it automatically hides our sketch. So we're going to pop it in there, pop that sketch back open because we're not done with it yet. We got a lot of work to do here yet. So knowing that we've got 110 depth, this little pad that we just came up with, we're going to extrude that out too. And what we can do with this here, get another view from this side, because we have this other line coming through, it's going to treat it as 2 separate pieces, so we have to extrude both pieces. But at that 110 depth, if we're going to go, it only has to be 20 wide. So we're going to extrude it, but we're going to start with an offset. So we're going to start, if the center is going to be 55 or negative 55, then we're going to start 10 millimeters prior to that. So we're going to go negative 45 for an offset. And then from there, we're going to go negative 20 millimeters. And now you can see it's placing that right up, physically or visually, it looks perfect. So we're going to put it there, and we're going to just look at the front of the unit, and you can see it's centered nice there. So that's going to be exactly what we want there. So that gets us our offset that we're looking for. Next thing we're going to do is put the leading edge and the far edge. We aren't doing it circular because if we look at the unit, it's mostly rectangular with rounded edges. It's not a circle. So we are going to do it as a rectangle type of band here. So to do that, what I want to do is we're going to do an extrusion again, and this time we're going to do the triangle and this entire edge. So if we get a look at it from this side, we are going to grab everything here, and now we got to remember to include where that little cube chopped out. So we're going to grab all of this. So we got the triangle here, the big rectangle, and just to make it dimensionally or maybe logically easier to follow, we are going to start at the far edge over here, and then we're going to bring that back. So we're going to be 5 millimeters on that. So we're going to go from there. The object was selected that we're starting from, and then we're going to go 5 millimeters, and now we want it to go to the right. So we're going to not do a negative in here. We're just going to tell it 5 millimeters, and now as you can see, it put that out there very nicely, right where we want it. So we're going to grab that, and now I'm going to get rid of that sketch, and you see we only did it over here because we just did the one dimension over here. Now we're going to do the same thing by extruding that same pattern. So we're going to grab this whole triangular area. Let's get a better look at it here. And this one, we're going to start where it is because the drawing is right on this edge here. And then we're going to go, in this case, the -5 because we want it to push out. Now we've got that whole portion taken care of. All we really need now is the piece that goes across the front here, and then get my screw holes in there, and really we're just about done. Finish it up with some nice rounded edges and so forth. But to do that next sketch, or the next extrusion, real simple at this point. We're going to come back and look at the right side again, and this time we want the forward edge of the band and then the taper that's going to rest on, and we're going to just do that. We're going to go from an object, which is going to be this side of this, and we're going to go to an object, which is going to be inside of the other arm, and it just plops that right in there for us. I'm going to say okay to that. We're going to get rid of the drawing, just take a look, and it looks like what we want. Just to give us a little bit better feel, we're going to do a cross section just to take a look. So if we do an inspect and section analysis, and we are going to do a cut plane here, and we're going to go back. Well, we can just back up. Well, if we go 55, that'll put us right in the center of this thing. We're going to say okay, and look at it from the right side. So we've got the back part that's going to mount to the wall, the little pad to help hold it straight, the little chamfer here to give this some more strength, and the tapered edge for the unit to sit in. Looks exactly like I was hoping it was going to end up. I'm going to do a quick save here before I goof something up and wish I would have saved it. I'm going to get rid of that section analysis so we can see the whole thing again, and take another peek, and we are real close to ready to go. I'm going to take a little break here, and I'll be back in just a second, and we'll do the mounting holes and do the rounding of everything, and we will have a object that's ready to export so we can 3D print it, and we can show you the results when it's all done. Okay, and I'm back. So what we're going to do next is we're going to get those mounting holes so I can run some screws into the wall and slide this thing on there. So to make everything look nice and pretty and work from the other side, I am going to spin the drawing around, and then we are going to put the holes in for the mounting screws, and we're going to see if it behaves a little better for us this time. So now we're going to work from the back side of the drawing, or of the object, and I am going to draw directly on this back side of this object. So I'm going to draw on the back of this slab that we created, and I'm going to do a construction line, which isn't something we can dimensionally work off of. It's just a reference line for us. So I'm going to put it right about here. We're going to come across here. We want to be at our 0 degrees, and it is not locking for me for some reason. Just doesn't want to be here, I guess. So we're going to come over here, hit 0 degrees, and now we can hit our 110. I'm going to draw it back in one more time. That acknowledges it's 0 there. So we're going to try this one more time. We're going to put this up here. We're going to say we want it to be, there we go. Now it looks like it'll be, we're going to have that be 40 from the bottom. So that's going to line up just to the bottom edge of that little band that we're creating, so we can get to the screws easy enough. We won't have any structure in our way. We're going to run center line so we know where that is, so we keep that nice and centered. Now we got our reference points we need. Going to put a couple of 2-point circles here, so that's going to give us our recessed area. I think you're going to be able to follow along once I do this. It's going to make some sense, I believe. We're going to do another 2-point circle. And do you want to change that? I don't want it to be construction, so we're going to fix the other one so it's no longer construction. Another 10. So we're going to click on this and say, no, we didn't want it to be construction, so now it's real. Do the same thing down here, another 2-point circle. And another one right below it. 2-point circle, not a center circle, which it'll default to. All right, now we're going to put some tangent lines in here. It's going to kind of create a slot for us. We're going to go from here to here, and from here to there. Same thing on this upper one. Tangent lines. And we are going to finish this for now. We're going to come back into it in a little bit, but right now we are going to extrude this hole and this one, because what it's going to be is it's going to be a slotted screw hole. So this is going to be large enough for the head to fit through, and then we're going to have the little slot that goes upward. So from here we are going to extrude to the face, and it's going to cut, and it's going to create the 2 holes for us. So we're going to say okay to that. And now we can see we've got the holes that are large enough for the heads of the screws to go through. Put that sketch back up so that we can work with that. Now we're going to create the slot for the shank of the screw to set into. So in order to do that, we're going to come back, we're going to come back to this drawing. I'm going to edit this one. We're going to add a couple of circles to it. So I only need a 4mm slot in there, so we're putting 4mm in here. And we're going to do the same down below. Another 4mm screw, and these are center holes. So we're coming out to 4. And now I can run my tangent lines down to the relief that's going to exist. So we're just going to come down here to a center line so we have a drawing. And then another one alongside of it. And the same up here. Now I'm not fully constraining these, that's why they're still blue. If it was a larger drawing, I would definitely do that so I don't inadvertently change a dimension someplace. But just because it's a real simple drawing, this is all the further I'm going. Alright, so now when we finish this sketch, we're back out to what we had before, and now we're going to finish the slots that we needed. So we're going to grab this, the same up here. I'm gonna grab this, and these pieces. Oh my. There we go. And we are going to go to an object which will be the front side of this drawing. I'm going to say to cut that as well. And now you can see we've got our slots for the screws. Did say I was going to recess this, which is my intent, so that the head of the screw on this side doesn't scratch what I'm working on. So in order to do that, I am going to grab sketch number 2. I am going to do an extrusion of all of this area. So we're going to grab, well, at least the parts that still exist. So we're doing that much. The same down here. That should have the same look. And we are going to start at the other side. And then we are going to go a distance of 5 millimeters. And knows it's a cut. We're going to say OK. And now we're going to get rid of that sketch. And we should be able to see that it's created that little recessed slot. And that's going to be our mounting screws. We are getting real close to just needing to smooth everything out. So I'm going to be back in just a minute. Okay, so we should be just about be there. I'm going to add a couple of chamfers and fillets in here to make everything look pretty. Just give it a little bit more strength when we're 3D printing, depending upon which type of plastic we're using. It affects the strength quite a bit. I'm just going to put a chamfer in at each of these points just to bring it back, give us a little bit more strength here so we don't have one immediate issue. So just a little 10 millimeter there takes a lot of the pressure off of that corner. And if I look at the rest, I think we're in good shape. So we're going to say okay for the chamfers there. I'm going to put in some fillets just to make it so I don't have any sharp edges pointing around. I'm going to grab all these surfaces, I would say. Let's get everything inside an outside surface. Including the bottom edge to make it happy. And we're just going to wrap that in only by a millimeter. I don't want any major changes, major rounds, and that's just to get that edge off, and it also makes the printing easier. If we go with a large chamfer, sometimes we have print issues, especially on the bottom side of the print when it's trying to compensate and with the support material and so forth. So that should be what we're looking at when we're all done. I got flipped around here, spin it back around, and what we're going to do is we're going to print this up. We're going to give it a try, see how it works, and then we will add a couple pictures and we should be all done. Hope you enjoyed this. If you found it helpful, please subscribe and like. And if you've got comments, you can certainly leave them in the comment section. I am always welcoming constructive feedback. Thanks. All right, so we made it through the print process. I tried it out. Dimensions were off a few millimeters in 2 directions. I adjusted that, reprinted it, came out pretty nice. We got it mounted on the wall, and the HandVac fits in there real nice. So it turned out real well.